So originally I was going to write a script for this video, but then after I finished editing the hours upon hours of footage, I realized that that would be a monumental task indeed. So why not just be super spontaneous and record an audio track for this project, time-lapse, speed painting, with the freshness of an unscripted bit of rambling, right? But why not? So while I could just stay within the topic of art, explaining, oh, well, this is how I did the porcelain. I added some bluish shadows, and the lights, as the Impressionists taught us, should be somewhat yellow tinted. I'm probably going to steer off topic at one point, so please bear with me. It's impossible to stay on one topic if you're just rambling off the cuff. This bit of coffee, this bitter coffee, so typical of like the Cuban scene, it could be used as an element to fortify nationalism, that patriotic spirit, like, cultural stuff that we all love. But come to think of it, I mean, there are plenty of cultures out there that enjoy bitter coffee as well. Like the Israelis, for instance, they drink really bitter coffee. But I guess the fact that Cuban coffee is so strong that you have to have a ton of sugar to it, it's like already the cliche. You've got that nice combination of the typical elements of the island and, sugarcane, the sugarcane industry. It's a nice thing to have it every now and then. It's, we're as a species, we're always looking for innovative ways to have a new source of energy. I don't know how many times I've quit coffee. Who hasn't done that? Like, yeah, we know that it causes gray hairs prematurely. I read it in an article once. I'm pretty sure the hair dye industry doesn't want you to find out. And it does harden arteries and all that stuff. It stains your teeth. But we still like coffee, I mean, you can't take coffee away from people. You just can't. It's a habit that you keep coming back to. It's like trying to get a hipster away from avocado, right? I mean, I sure love avocados, and I like painting them, but avocados always have that, they kind of like remind you of how short life is. The avocado, you open it up and it's good, but then eat it quickly, otherwise it's going to turn into this disgusting brown mush. Real flowers, as with fruits and vegetables, just remind us of how short life is. Alrighty, so I have 3 minutes and 48 seconds to record an in-between sliced up bit of audio track. For some reason I over-edited, and it's not that I got corrupted or anything, I just ended up with a bit of a gap, and so why not just record a bit more of some of that unscripted bit of conversation. You'll probably notice, my dear audience, a stark contrast in the quality of the audio, because the original recording, the one that you'll hear at the start and at the end of this video, was done in the morning. Now several hours have passed by. I've done lots of things, and one of those things that I thought was really positive was reading about this young lady. I don't know if she's 14 or 18. She's just like really, really young, and she wants to be the first, I guess, female explorer, astronaut person to go to Mars. And it's just so nice to see young people like not wasting your time on shallow things. And I'm not gonna get too specific in case anybody here has a guilty pleasure that happens to be shallow, but it's just great to see a young person already drafting out a life plan like that, when you know that there are certain governments out there that just plan for a couple of months ahead, right? They're just thinking, politicians, for instance, how much money can I grab while still in power? And who cares about tomorrow? So young people with a strong sense of responsibility, that's just so refreshing to see. And it would be great, of course, if more and more people found out about the great things that the young people of our society are up to, and not just the one or two Instagram celebrities with teeny tiny bikinis just out there promoting brands, but basically helping to deteriorate the intellectual progress of an entire generation. I did do a TikTok account because I guess even if you're interested in politics, you have to have a TikTok account now, because we apparently can't stand focusing on anything for too long, and so that's why they've really taken off, because it's just short video after short videos, millions of nonsensical videos. But I do think that the fact that there are so many people out there trying to take control of their lives for the greater good, like for instance trying to be the next top scientist that saves humanity from the climate crisis and this massive extinction of awesome animals, it's just really great, because it's satisfying and inspiring to see that some people out there really are doing good, and we need magazines to really promote stories like this. But of course, I do know that we're just oversaturated with information at this point. I have done a lot of time-lapse videos before, of like say drawings or speed paintings and all that. This was, I think this was the first time I actually filmed from beginning to end. One of my classic, really standard landscapes. Sorry, still life. I mean, sorry, you know, just, again, this is not scripted. This is just me being as spontaneous as possible. So, I really like painting fabric. I like finding excuses to insert it in there, because it took me a while to kind of get the hang of it. I think the first time that I really wanted to study fabric was a few years ago when I got into engravings and illustrations, and I just realized that Victorian fashion plates and later like Edwardian political satire and all that stuff, like all these artists were so good, engraving artists were so good at portraying fabric, that I just first studied it as a drawing, and then I just switched it over to oil painting, and it really helped. We should like always do that with life, like first start off with the simple version of it, and when you get the gist of it, then you know, just advance in it and get better. I really like painting all sorts of subject matters. Animals, it can be a bit tricky, but a good challenge is always really good. It's really good. I love challenges, especially if it has a happy ending, of course. But if you just always paint what makes you comfortable, you're not going to grow, obviously. I'm pretty sure you've heard that in whatever profession. You just have to continuously like push yourself, and as cliche as it may sound, get out of your comfort zone and try new things. So while apparently in politics we're always just going around in circles, you know, the hamster wheel, just on and off, just being like a sort of tennis ball jumping from Republican to Democrat, I think we should definitely come up with new ways, and also in all their aspects of life, get out of our comfort zone. Otherwise you just become this complacent, lazy thing that is like fine with everything, and thus complicit in crime. So although popular culture, okay, mainly Hollywood, has like let us know that in the future, even if we're conquering different planets, you know, like Mars or something, these great multinational companies, giant corporations will still be everywhere. I'm pretty sure you've noticed that. But like for instance, WALL-E, you know, that the Disney, is it Disney or is it Pixar? Oh, I don't know. DC Marvel Universe, I don't know. That WALL-E, in that movie you can see how there's this giant company that has destroyed the planet, and you could say, well, it's criticizing it. No, but at the same time, you could also argue that when you portray a specific reality, you're trying to normalize it, not just denounce it as an injustice or whatever. But no matter how many times they tell us from popular culture that even if we're in the future, that you're more likely to experience the end of the world than to change things up in how we manage ourselves, the reality is that we are continuously changing things. You just have to look back a couple of centuries ago, how different we used to do things. And while certain professions, like what I am doing in this video, are the same essentially as it was centuries ago, I'm using oil-based pigments. Well, they're not oil-based, nature-based. I mean, that's why oil paint is so expensive, because you really do have to get minerals and grind them up into fine powders and mix it with oils. So the process in itself is quite expensive. Not as expensive as, the Romans or other cultures that had to use that sea creature to do purple dye, but it's still very expensive. And the canvas fabric primed with a bit of acrylic, like the whole process in itself, maybe except a few brushes that are synthetic. I mean, I'm okay with boar bristles, but synthetic brushes are obviously a more affordable option, and I can throw them away if they get destroyed more easily. I mean, I don't feel quite comfortable paying upwards of $30-$40 for one brush, which will eventually, with a couple of uses, never go back to its original condition. But yeah, paintings, at least the type of painting that I do, it's the same as it was in the 15th, 16th century and all that. Except the fact that, well, sometimes I'll use photography to help me. Like, for instance, for this painting, some of the elements were from a photograph I took, but others were from real life. Like, I painted the roses from real life. Let me see what else. I painted the fabric, and I literally went into my closet and got a sheet, a bed sheet, and just spread it out on a corner of the studio to copy that. So yeah, it couldn't be as more historically accurate, in terms of the process. But I do think that it's great to be able to create something that will last centuries, because if you do use the old method, I mean, I even used the classic varnish that artists used to use, the ones that get yellow over the centuries if you don't take care of it. It's incredible, right, to be able to create works of art that will outlive you, and as long as the client is taking care of it, will stand the test of time. And while our societies sometimes aren't running as we'd like it, and we sometimes fall into the same old annoying habit of criticizing things, we obviously need to keep the spirit up and try to come up with better methods of doing things, not just in our personal life, but also inspiring others and all that good stuff, because of the fact that, yes, that humans are here for a brief period of time. So if someone's life is definitely going to be short-lived in the bigger picture, right? Like, what is a human life? Like, oh yeah, you lasted 60 years, or maybe 80, or maybe even 100. But seriously, what's 100 years compared to centuries of human history? Nothing, and we're just a short breath of life. So if life is short, shouldn't we be trying to do our best to make everyone's momentary stay on this planet as best as possible? That's why I like how there's I have a brother. How many brothers do I have? Right, I have 5 brothers. A brother of mine, and then another one, and it's like catching on. It's this thing that's going around in my family where they're just saying, seriously, hands down, the purpose of life is just happiness. And And I like that because it's quite interesting to take life advice from your younger siblings. You know, kids that you remember how they were when they're just crawling around the house in a diaper and suddenly have these big philosophical things to teach you. But yes, I definitely like that simplistic way of just saying, you know, while I will add that happiness by itself, I mean, it's been proven, I think it was a Harvard study, that the people that most seek happiness are the ones that end up being the least happy. You definitely have to be careful on that. Happiness is quite obviously something that you get good doses of that. You'll get a nice shot of dopamine by helping others and trying to make others happy. But I think it's also a question of getting out of things that are really not making you happy, really making you unhappy. Because a lot of times you see that people are suffering through things and they're just stuck in a loop and they complain about it, and they're sometimes even go as far as to like self-title themselves as haters, and like, oh, I hate this and I hate this other thing. And it's a vicious cycle. And I think that like once your brain is like used to that shortcut of just every time you've come across an obstacle, I'm just gonna vent, I'm just gonna like release all this anger, while that is the easy path, it's not something that we should continuously engage in. Like, just look at it as like a guilty pleasure. All right, you can have a little bit, you can have a little bit of chocolate, but don't turn that into breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Don't go overboard. And I'm just reminded of that 80s song, why do I go to extremes? Never mind my singing. But definitely sometimes we just like need to like step back and make a list of the things that we can fix that we're just putting up with because of force of habit and something like that. And at this point, I'm very much proud of my painting. I mean, I love it. Every time I do a painting, there's always like this mandatory ritual, like stages. Yeah, not ritual, but stages. I mean, the ritual that I hate is actually cleaning brushes. I need an assistant just to help me clean the brushes because it is something I can't stand doing. But I have to do it anyways. But the stages, they're definitely always involve at least one moment of deep, serious self-doubt where I just look at that mess of pigments. They're just chaos, and I just think, I have no talent. No, I can't do this. But it's happened so often that I already just pushed through it. So, oh, right. Oh, yes, I already landed on this stage in which I'm inundated with self-doubt. But, so I just, like, push through it and just keep going. And then you start getting to that nice area where you're like, yes, this is coming together. I'm definitely liking this. I'm the world's best painter, right? I'm pretty sure that as a creator, we all go through that peak of the mountain, that great ecstasy of saying, yes, I did this. It is wonderful. I'm the best. I love it. I must repeat. Which is why I've been painting for so many years now.